That was really good. That's the best one so far. That's amazing. It's quite impressive. Now, a couple of things that I didn't say before, just while the judges are writing their notes. I should say that the People's Choice Award is worth $500. So it's a substantial amount of money, which is great. Your judging criteria, you can do it any way you want. You know, you can vote for your sister if you like. But in theory, your judging criteria is, there are three things. Comprehension, did the presentation help you to understand what the research was about? Engagement, did it make you want to know more? And communication, was the thesis topic and its significance communicated in a language appropriate to an intelligent but non-specialist audience? That's you. You're an intelligent but not necessarily specialist audience. So if you found it that you understood the thesis and it was fascinating and it felt like it was an important subject and it spoke to you in your own language, then you give them the best marks you possibly can. Can I also say one other thing that I didn't mention? No photographs during the presentations either. I don't think anybody did, but please don't. We just don't want anything to put them off. Because it is quite amazing, really. Public speaking is a terrifying thing, and these are people who are largely academics, and I'm a bit mouthy, but and I'm used to standing on stage, but I've just spent the last, well, in theory, I'm supposed to have spent the last 6 months writing a book. 8 weeks, the last 8 weeks, quite intensely. This is, I told you I come to Hamilton about once a week. That's the only time I shower and dress these days. So you just live inside your own head. I'm just trying to tell you that I think I understand what it might be like to be an academic. I don't really, I've got no idea. But, you know, you're writing, you're involved in your own stuff. So I think that's another reason why we should be so enthusiastic for each of these speakers, because it's not the speaking that's necessarily their natural thing, it's the research and the academic work. So it's even more impressive. Have our judges stopped writing? You have? You good, Alistair? Is everybody good? Are you good? Okay, you look good. I gotta say, you're my favourite so far. All right, our second presenter tonight. Our second person is Jagdeep Singh Ladhar, and she's from the Faculty of Law. Her thesis is a comparative analysis of water allocation law and policy in New Zealand and Australia. The research considers whether aspects of water allocation in Australia might be suitable to improve water allocation law and policy in New Zealand. So, you did it really well before. Let's do it again. A massively enthusiastic round of applause for Jagdeep Singh Ladhar.
Australia or New Zealand? Winning in water allocation. This is an intriguing question. On the one hand, we have one of the world's driest continents, Australia, and on the other, we have a country, our own, New Zealand, which is ranked very highly for water availability on a global level. And why is water allocation important anyway? Well, the United Nations has stated that because of water scarcity, the way in which we allocate water should be both efficient and equitable. So there needs to be an element of fairness about our water allocation. This brings me to the point of our perception in New Zealand. Are we really that abundant in terms of water? Of all the world's water, only 1% is available for freshwater allocation. And our high ranking by the OECD is actually based on per capita availability. But are we drinking all this water? I don't think so. I know I'm not. That water is actually being used to manufacture products, and in particular, products such as milk powder, which is then exported overseas. So we have this concept of virtual water. And if we think about water availability in terms of virtual water as well, we can see why allocation is such an issue. New Zealand and Australia both began with riparian rights, which were basically rights that a landowner has to water which runs past the land that they own. Gradually, this was supplanted with statutory rights. So in New Zealand, in 1967, we had the Water and Soil Conservation Act passed. This act created a national body, the National Water and Soil Conservation Authority. And also, it required that water boards must allocate water so that the best use is considered. Following on, when this act was applied by the courts, they said, looking at the act as a whole, it actually shows that we need a balancing test. This act was replaced by the Resource Management Act, which removed the National Water and Soil Conservation Authority and created a hierarchy of planning instruments. So the hierarchy was at a national and a local government level. The problem was that it took 20 years for a national document to be created, and in some areas, regional documents or planning instruments weren't created either. In the meantime, across the ditch in Australia, there has been rapid reform, particularly in the year 2000 onwards, around water markets, allocating according to separating the take and use of water, allowing transferability between different water users, and even something which you might not have heard before, which is water accounting. How novel is that? So it seems that Australia is far ahead of New Zealand in water allocation and reallocation.
That was Jagdeep Singh Ladhar, and I noticed she did that with 6 minutes to spare, Arlene. Is that about right? Excellent, that's good. That's very tight and lovely. I like that. 6 minutes to spare, I know.
The University of Waikato, where the world is going.